Well, there's a whole lot of ways to hold on to your lures while you're finishing them, while you're painting them. Um, I'm not sure how you do it. I've come up with a bunch of ways. Let me show you what I've found. This is where we go from lure maker to lure geek. Let's talk about what you need while you're holding the lure. Right. First of all, you're going to be painting it either with an airbrush or whatever method you use, whether paint cans or a brush. You also need to be able to hold it while you're dipping it. If you dip your lure in a sealer or a primer coat, or even as a clear coat at the end, clear coating with a brush or pouring clear coat on top of it, you got to have a method to hold on to it where it won't slip, it won't fall on you. Optimally, you want to be able to take it from painting and dipping and all that straight to your lure turner. To design that kind of holder, you first got to know what kind of lure you're going to have, especially how big it is. If you've got an oversized lure, if you're building really big lures, then you're going to have to find a more robust system to hold it if you make giant lures. But otherwise, the other element of the lures that you need to know is what kind of hook eyes you have. Because normally, you're going to hold the lure by the hook eyes, if they're in. If you use screw-eye hook eyes, if you use screw-in hook eyes, then it's actually a little easier because you can actually leave one of the hook eyes out. Usually folks leave the tail one out. And then by just inserting a nail, this is a paneling nail, into a piece of dowel, you can create a little handle. This is really common. I see lots of folks do this, and it's pretty robust. You can do this with a pretty large lure. It's real simple, and just by adding a hook on the other side, you can dip it and then hook it to drip. On the other hand, if you're using a full internal harness like this little lure, all those eyes are in place by the time you need to hold them. A lure like this one, where all the eyes are in. This takes a little more thought, right? I mean, you can't just stick a nail in it, so you gotta have to grasp it somehow. Now, there's two ways of grabbing a lure. One is a single point hold, and that would include the nail, right? And the other is a 2-point hold. So, on the single point hold, you might have something really, really basic, like just a hanger. This is an overcomplicated hanger, right? I made a little spring-loaded hook, which doesn't help much, to be honest with you, but it holds it and doesn't let it fall off if you mishandle it. But this doesn't really help you when you're painting and when you're trying to clear coat. So it's really this kind of thing I use just to move a lure from one place to another. What's typically seen, right, is a really strong alligator clip. This one, I got in a pack of 3, and it's really strong. It's strong enough that it actually hurts when it pinches you. And what I did was I added a little dollop of 5-minute epoxy on each jaw, and it gives it like a little soft pad, softer pad than steel, and it allows it to grip the end eye much better, and so it doesn't want to slide on you. Now, if you put a lure holder like this in a turning rack where it's turning your lure, and it's going to be there for hours, that little bit of motion will add up, and sooner or later it'll slowly want to slip out of its jaw and fall off. That's a tragedy waiting to happen. I've had it happen. If you're doing that kind of thing, it's better to hold it by the center eye. It's more balanced, but I prefer not using this kind of holder for turning a lure because it's just too much time outside of my supervision. Another type of single point holder is using an X-Acto knife holder. This is one I had laying around. I cut it off. You can see the metal cut through there, and it's just got the little 4-point jaw designed to hold a little thin razor blade, so it's not going to hold some of those thicker screw-in eyes. But it will work for the thinner wire in the internal harness. So you can slide it in there, and then you can bring this up. This one is just a jam style one. The screw style ones are a little more secure, and they work really well. If you're at a flea market or a yard sale and you see a couple of these for cheap, 50 cents or $1, buy them. Use them for this. And along similar lines is this little mini C-clamp. I had to make this little C-clamp, but it's pretty good. I like this. It's the only thing, it's so bulky. When you apply it, you can see the body of the C-clamp it's awfully close to the body of the lure, so you end up having a hard time getting that finish. But if you're painting, it usually works pretty well, and it's really secure. You can really screw it down. So all my holders have the CPVC end stock or handle, and the reason is this is what fits my my lure turner. Continuing with single point lure holders is this little gizmo. I bought a few of these at a local flea market, and it's a cam clamp. You can see it has rubber jaws, and they were really inexpensive, like 50 cents. They're used actually to grab onto a canvas and pull it. What it works really well for is if you've got a fixed hook on your lure, it works super good for that. It really holds on to that. And then I've never adapted this to put on my turner. I was intending to redesign the jaw so I can use it also on the hook eyes, but I never really did. I just use it for this particular weedless topwater, and I'm repainting spoons, fishing spoons. Wow, this finish is coming apart. So let's move on to the 2-point holder. So this is kind of like the simplest of 2-point connectors, or at least the easiest one to get a hold of. You just buy this in the store. I made some modifications here where I put in some flexible arms, but it holds it really snugly. The only thing is that once you've done the work you're going to do on this, you've got to transfer this to your lure turner, and that can be a little dicey. And that's the kind of thing I designed this for. And so I could just grab it, it would stay hooked up, and then I could just disconnect it. I came up with this 2-point. This is still in concept stage. Essentially what it is a dowel with 2 alligator clips, one connected to a little bamboo skewer that's glued into the wood, and another one connected to a wire that runs through and can be slid in and out to change the way it's holding your lure. So you can hold it like this and paint. It holds it really firmly. Let me see if I can show you. And if you want to dip it, you can extend this out, and then you can dip and hang. This is primarily what I use to hold my lures. I call it the lure bow, and the nice thing about it's self-adjusting. You take the lure off, and it's one piece that can adjust from a lure that small, which is about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, to a lure about 5 inches long. And this is about a 2.5-inch lure. And then once you've got it on there, you just snap it tight, and that holds it in place. It doesn't let it wobble, and it doesn't let it come off. And again, I've got this little CPVC, and it goes directly on my turner. What I'll do is I'll have it ready, and you can see there's some already on there, but turn it off, and then I just slip it into place, turn on my turner, and it's ready to go. Okay, so that's my spiel on holding on to lures. This is the kind of instructional video I want to do because there are so many really good videos on how to turn a lure, how to mold a lure, how to paint a lure, how to finish a lure, and very little on how to do the little incidentals, right? Like holding your mold. I did a video on holding your mold, and this other simple little bit of lure making, how to hold your lure and be sure that you're not going to foul it up or drop it or make it so complicated that you can't get a good finish. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like it, let me know. If you're interested in making your own lure bows, let me know and I'll get a drawing up and with some dimensions, so they're really easy to make. Thanks for watching. See you next time.